Hey, what's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video will be part 4 of the MtoA 510 series where I'll be showing you how to create a nice looking scene using Quixel Megascans and Arnold renderer. In the previous sessions we started out let's just see, in part 1 we started out with just doing a look dev on the main mushrooms, and then in part 2 we worked on creating the shaders for the rest of the scene. In part 3 we focused more on lighting to position lights nicer and create a more interesting effect, especially on rim lights. And in today's session I'll be trying to add more interesting elements to the render, especially in the top right. I want to add more ferns here and also in the background. And I think the right side is still a bit empty. So what I want to do, I want to position here also a big fern somewhere here. So we have this nice loop or something and all the focus shifts to the center. And that's the main idea of that. And I also, in this session, I will tweak the shaders a bit more just to make them pop a bit. I'm not sure exactly how I will do this. But the main focus should be on the center mushrooms, and I will definitely spend some more time on that. And what I also want to do, checking the reference, there is this volumetric effect, and what I want to do then, I want to create a cone light somewhere from this angle, and I just want to create some nice volumetric shadows coming off of the mushrooms, and I want to see how it can look. And if I still have time, I want to create like little things and scatter some fur on these mushrooms. I guess they are not supposed to have fur unless they're really rotten or something. But I think it can add some interesting look to the whole thing. So let's get to it. So what I did now, I just copied 2 more ferns and positioned them on the side, and I just want to do the same thing on the other side as well without compromising the lighting, right? So to do so, I'll select the fern, I'll Control D to duplicate it, and I'll just move it over, and as you can see it's flying to the other side. Use basic mode for faster positioning because it doesn't render any textures or shaders or lighting. So something like this, and I'll just move it over so it is behind all the trees. The rocks. Okay, so this is, where are we? Okay. Okay, let's just see how it looks lit. Okay, so it is definitely working, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. Just to have some dark in front of bright, and this is what's happening now. And obviously I guess it's a bit way too bright. So I'm pretty sure it's coming from the area light we placed last session. Yeah, it is definitely from this guy. So I will create another blocker in this light. Oh, I actually don't have a blocker. So I'll create a blocker in here. And let's just beautify the whole scene a bit more. The blocker is in the bottom here. Scale this guy up, move it up, and add density to it. And then let's just position it around the fern. Okay, so now everything which is in the box gets clipped. Obviously you can have softer edges. It's hard to, I'm not sure if you need to enable ramp instead. Yeah, I think the ramp is to fall off. It's hard to see without visualizing it, or it's hard to control it without visualizing it. But I think we're getting there. So yeah, I think this looks pretty cool. And now we can actually work with the density a bit. So if I want it a bit brighter, I'll just reduce the density a bit. And we get the desired effect. Instead of having it blown out like this, we can just like control it a bit better. And I think this will work pretty cool. So now that's done. Let's just, there we go. Okay, so it gets pretty busy now, but I think it's still manageable. And now we need to see what we want to do. I think I want to spend some time on the main shader of this main mushroom in the front. So I think we can, if I isolate it, we have a bit more more faster iterations over it. So I'll just want to save session 4, and also I just want to store the current render, and then I want to hide all the rest of the geometry. So we want to keep mushroom red, and let's say we want to keep the ground for the bounce. Okay, so not much should have changed from look wise. No. Okay, that's cool. And now we need to see what we can actually do with this guy. So this is what we currently have. This one. And I think it's just overall a bit too translucent. So let's just see what we can do on the shader. Is it rendering? Let's just go down here. Okay. This should be good enough for testing. Alrighty, so let's see what we can do on the shader. I think we need to work a bit. We can try actually like a clear coat. It might look weird, but it might also help. Let's just first bring it up all the way. It just might help to sell that it's a bit like wet. Let's see. Yeah, I think this might help. This is definitely too strong. No, it's not in the direct, right? I think it's in the, they have their own AUV. Yeah, let's see if it resolves a bit. Yeah, I think it might help. So let's just increase the roughness maybe to 3.5 and bring down the weight to maybe 0.3 and see what we get on the top now. And now we get this little sheen. Let's just see if we can bring the code in the AUVs. Built-in, code, direct, indirect. Let's see if they show up here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think it's helping. Let's just go maybe down so it's more like a little coat. That's better. And in the worst case, we can just remove it again in comp. But I think it might just work. We're faking it a bit now. We're breaking physicality. But I think it's a good effect. It just gives the feel a bit more of a solid object instead of just being like a sponge. So when talking about sponge, I think I need to bring down the SSS, especially the radius. We'll bring down the radius, go a bit more in the reds. Let's see, a bit more reddish. And we want to reduce the radius and bring the SSS effect back in. So let's see what we did now. 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so this is after and before. After, before and after, before and after. And I think it looks promising. Before and after. Definitely more translucent. Let's see what we can do on this guy. Huh. So it is a stronger oval SSS and a smaller radius. They look a bit too fleshy in my opinion, so let's reduce the redness a bit. Yeah, this was a bit much. Fleshy, I mean it looks as if they have blood in them, which is a bit gross, but okay, that's working. See how red it is? That's a bit too much. It's like bleeding from the top down. And you can't really see this. Well, wait a minute. You can actually see it here as well in the photo. How red it is, how red it gets. It's pretty much actually. So we might just keep it then. Let's check this guy. Yeah, I think this was a good call to do this. Especially like to add this sheen, which just gives it a more solid feel definitely. And I think we can still go a bit more on this by increasing the IOR. The IOR makes it more shiny everywhere, so it gets more. Yeah, it's not really affecting it too much. It's very interesting how it works. Okay, so now we have a nice sheen on everything, and for sure we can reduce it and comp in the end if it gets too much, like too liquid or too plasticky. Let's see if we have it in the reference. You get this kind of sheen as well, but it's definitely not as strong as I have it in here. So let's just bring it down to 185 and the weight to maybe 25. Okay. That's that. Transmission, we don't need that for sure. What else do we have? Caustics, no, thank you. We can try with thin film. It sometimes gives very interesting results. You can see the sheen we get now. Interesting, I don't really thin film. Not sure why I don't see anything. It should be definitely in the spec. Okay, never mind then. Okay, so this is what we did, and we've got this. We added fern here, fern there. We worked on the shader. I just want to render this quickly, and just that we have a better understanding where we are. Let's render with 4, and we'll be back. So I think what I did now was helping quite a lot. It looks now more like a solid object instead of this flat boring thing. And you can actually see the stem now has this nice color bleed with thickness to it. The rim which I added might be a bit strong now because this small thicker mushroom is like, it looks very lit up. But I like the sheen we got from the coat. It feels now more solid definitely. And also that you get this color bleeding now on the thinner parts on the top here is pretty cool. So I was talking about a volumetric light, so let's do that as well. And I just want to create a spotlight, which will be the only light which will it won't affect the lighting. Will just generate the light beam. So oh, sorry, it's not there anymore. Spotlight. Let's position it somewhere. I'll look through selected. mushroom red. Camera is here, and I just want to create a beam from this angle. And what I want to do now is go to the settings of the light, and I want to make sure it is not contributing in diffuse or any of the other passes, only volume, right? And I don't want to have, oh, I think that should be all. And to test render, I also don't want any textures. I don't want, this should be fine. Let's see if this works. And I also, before we start, I need to add a volume light. So create an atmosphere volume. It has a density. Let's just put it to 1. It should be now solid. And all the other lights, I think I need to disable in volume. So what I can do now, I can use, I think light control has it, attribute control has the option to do that. Contribution, there we go. And now all the lights will not get any volume, so I disable this set. So now all my lights have no volume contribution, but the spotlight should get it. So I enable it for the spot, and now we should be good. Let's see what we get if I render now. No textures and no shaders. I wonder what we will get. Okay, that was progressive. Yep, we get the volume effects, which is cool. Is there a better way to visualize it though? Lights, shadows. We need the lights for sure. Yeah, I think we can live with this for now. Righty, so we see the volume happening for sure, but we need to work on the settings for this a bit. It's because the light has actually no intensity or very little. So let's bring in the intensity to 5, 6. That's what I'm looking for. And we want a very small cone angle like this, and we want to position it somewhere from here. Okay. Let's increase this. And so now we get that nice effect for sure. That's good. We can also go a bit further away still. And now we can control the softness using, I think, drop off or penumbra. Yeah. And you can see now it's very direct. There's very strong direction. So what we can do, we can go further away like this, and we can just change a cone angle to be smaller. And we can increase the intensity. Yeah. Okay, definitely overkill, but it's good to see it's working. All right. I'm not sure if it's now behaving as I expect it to. Okay. It's now like just fine-tuning the position to get it look correct. You can see the nice shadow which it is casting. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is now kind of working. I hope it's not really affecting all the other channels, because it still should be bright. It should just be affecting that, which it does, so that's working. And now I want the beams, like you can see, it's still a strong direction, and the reference is mostly from the front. So let's try to actually mimic that as well. Yeah, that's better. You can see the nice shadowing there. Okay, let's bring in all the rest. Okay. I think it's working. Definitely we need to see how it looks with all the other things on top. And I think I will render this as a separate pass, just if I want to comp it over. I have more freedom how to comp it. Yeah, but it is there and it is working. So if I now want to adjust the strength, I can either change the intensity of the light, or I can go into the global settings and change the density of it. Okay, so that is that. So let's unhide all the rest and save. So what I want to do now, I just want to quickly try to instance fur onto the mushrooms itself, just to see if it works. Might be a bit too crazy, but we'll see how it goes. And it will scatter everywhere, so I'm not sure if I can just say scatter only in this region. There's definitely a way, I'm not sure how though. Okay, so what I want to do now, save first, and I want to go to Xgen to generate, and we go to Xgen editor, create new description. Each description must be stored in a collection, so this is MtoA 510, and let's try to use fur, or let's just use it like fibers. Was it fibers? I think fibers. Groomable splines randomly across the surface. Okay. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. Preview output, primitives, density. Let's just go down on the density. Okay. I think these things are the grooms. Let's just isolate the mushrooms for now. I don't see them being updated somehow. Uh-huh. That's better. I'm not sure update automatically. Yeah. Okay, so that's working. And let's see attribute editor. Okay, with I always thought that there is like the main thing. I think that's this guy. Fiber shape physics is a shader. There was somewhere the option to change the overall look. Okay, maybe it's in the Xgen stuff. Oh, it's here? Yeah, it's here. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Let's change the length to go smaller. And actually, I just want to position them here, so I'm not sure exactly how to do that either. So we need to see. Okay, modifiers none. And you see, I'm not really familiar with all this stuff. Primitive types is a guide. Okay. I think I actually used the wrong thing. I actually wanted to create groomable. Wait, sorry, let's just try this again before we go too crazy on this one. So let's go to Xgen again. Interactive groom editor. I think that's what I actually wanted to do. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Not sure why it's called leather. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. Yep. Let's just move this guy to the outliner instead. Okay. There we go. And now we can have the length. Taper. We want it to be tapered as well. Let's see what we can do here. I think I can just remove them from the top. So this is my sculpting layer, and I can, if I open the generate menu, I need to get going. Okay. Grooming tools. Okay. And I want to create a modifier as well on here. We can try noise. Yeah, noise is good. We just need to change the overall scale first. Yeah, I think that is working. I think that's actually good enough for the top, for the bottom stuff. Just like a few, whatever it might be, just a few little things there. And I just need to find a way how to get rid of them from the top. So I think if I use the density brush, here's my tool for this. Tool settings. Let's see what happens. I'm adding density. So if I set the density to be 0, I can hide them. Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And we might get some weird fungus at the bottom actually. So what I want to do now, I want to set the length. Or is there a scale? No. Scale. Okay, it's getting stronger. How can I reduce the length? Smooth increment? Uh-huh. Nope. I want to shorten them. Not make them longer. Oh, now it's working. Interesting. I want to have really short hair at the top here. And let's see if I can increase the density. Yep. Okay. Let's just change the length again. Yeah, so this is actually working pretty good. I'm almost impressed how good it works. Okay, so let's see if we can change the scale. And the noise is maybe too strong. Okay. All right, preserve length. Preserve length is the one I wanted. Okay, so now we have that, and let's see if we can actually play around with the width. Or actually, let's just first render and see what we get. And first I need to assign a shader. Let's just assign favorite AI standard here, and it's this guy. It might look pretty cool actually, so let's just hide all the other things for now. Hidden. Okay, save. And hit the render button. I don't even know. Oh no, I think we see them. Let's go to test 100. Let's just hide the volume light for now. Okay, there's definitely black hair. I wasn't going for that, to be honest. Not sure why it is black though. Base is white. Now it's supposed to be black. Okay, let's just investigate a bit more. So first, let's go back to the Xgen stuff and see what we can do there. Let's see. This needs to be opaque off. That's one thing. That's why it might have been black. And I also want to render not ribbons, but thick. And it actually should represent it here as well. Symmetry, no. Leather base. Okay, let's just see what we get now. And let's render from perspective. It's interesting. I'll just figure it out and I'll be back in a second. Right, pretty stupid. There was the melanin slider was on 1, which means black hair, and if I put this to 0, I totally forgot about that or just didn't see it. So we're back in action. So I just want to for now disable SSS just so we get a quicker feedback, just that we see what we're actually dealing with here. And you can see what's going on. This is the hair, and it's definitely too thick still and too long, so we need to do some work on that still. So we have the scale. Let's bring down the scale to maybe 0.75. So that is now way shorter. I think we need to restart the render. So let's just work on that a bit more. And we need to change the width somehow. How did I do that? Then on this guy. Width, there we go. Let's try 1. Okay, that's a lot thinner. Even thinner. So I think this might work. Let's try to render. I'm still not so sure if it did actually work, but let's work on the shader a bit. So we have opacity, and if I play with that, we can actually make them very translucent, and that's what I was trying to do. So we just get like these little things on it. I'm still not happy 100% with the length. So let's try to get them even shorter. Oops. I don't even think it's updating. Let's just retranslate and see. Okay, that's definitely working. So let's try something like that. Okay, now we have these little pings everywhere, which is what I wanted to see. So I think, even if it's not that prominent, these little things on it, I think we might increase the density a tiny bit, but it will help for sure. So let's just put the density to 2 and re-render. Yeah, I think it will help, even on the top here. So let me just do this for the other ones quickly, and I think it should all be very simple. If I can just, I think you can transfer it somehow. Select splines, transfer. Not sure, transfer. Just select one source description, one target mesh, source description. Source target, let's try, transfer. Now. Oh, I think it needs to go the other way around. Not sure if I just broke it now. Looks like I did break it. Control Y. Okay, I'm not sure where the stuff is now. Let's see if we can bring it back. Descriptions, preset input cache. Fibers. Okay, I'll just do this quickly on all the other ones and then we continue. Okay, so now I was able to add more grooms everywhere here, and you can see it's actually pretty convenient to paint it from the camera because I can really just remove them where I don't want to see any fur, and it's so far it's working pretty awesome. And I think on here on the top I want to have definitely some fur here on this guy on the top. So let's just try to bring in some guys here on him, and you can see them appearing here. And I think as a rim they will look pretty nice if they catch some light there, and also on this guy here. So let's just bring a few there. Just some minor details, I guess. Okay, now let's see how this renders. Saving, and I think I need to assign the shader again. So right click, oops. This will be tricky. Let's go into Hypershade, and I think that's the one. Assign, save, and let's see what we get. Okay, so it looks like they definitely have the fur on them. Yep, that's working. And so let's introduce the full shader first until we continue to tweak them. So let's delete those. Let's also bring in the rest of the geometry and save. And let's start the render and then we see what we get. Alright, now this is the full HD render. I didn't want to start in full HD, but already you can see the effect, and I think we can keep it because it might look just cool enough. We need to control the density and the opacity. I think it's both too much. So let's do this. Yeah, it's definitely, let's just increase the AAA samples. And go back to the grooming tools. And I set density is too much, so let's put it to 20. And also the length, right? So that's currently here, so let's go 0.5, and also I think the width is too much as well. Alright, so let's try again. Okay, I think now we're getting in the right direction. I just need to tweak the shaders a bit more. I think the opacity is still too high. They're still too visible and distracting. Other than that, I think I'm pretty happy. Yeah, this definitely needs to be rendered separately. The volume light, or just with a very low intensity, maybe can get away with that. Okay, so this is what we got. This is how we had it. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the result. I like the fur on it. I think it's just a bit too prominent and too visible, so I might reduce the opacity a bit more, and I think the length is also a bit too much, so I'll be tweaking that. But that will be this, and I will render a high quality render now, and we go from there. Alright, so this is now my last attempt for the fur or for the fibers. I reduced them quite a bit. I added a bit more noise and I shortened them. So this was the previous one and this is now the new one. I am pretty happy with the overall look of everything else. So this will now be the final attempt for this session. So in the next part, I will just be working in Nuke, I guess, to composite it a bit, to add some backdrops, to get some more interesting feel to the whole thing. But all in all, this sums up the lighting Maya side of things, lighting shading side of things. I hope you did enjoy it, and hopefully as well you learned some new things from my sessions. And thanks for tuning in, and see you in part 5, which will be the final one where I'll be compositing it in Nuke. Thank you guys for tuning in.